I got a lot of
Best
Swedish
luck with the
friends over
premiere.
there. I love Alex Skarsgård and Faros Faros, two men that I've
and
worked
Rebecca
with.
Ferguson soon too.
Oh, yes, and Rebecca, I just finished working with. I keep forgetting that that's it with you Swedes, man. You blend in so easy.
Yeah, so I'm Jonathan Blumberg, writing for Movies in Sweden.
Hi, Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing great now, and I get to speak with you, of course.
Excellent. I'm trying to check out your posters in the background there.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Kill
Nice.
Bill.
You can't go wrong with that, dude.
I know. And you can't go wrong with this show either.
Thank you.
I've watched the entire first season.
Oh.
And I loved all the twists and turns, and coming in as feeling like, oh, this is going to be something like Con Air, and then it turns into something very differently the longer we go down the line.
Yes, it does. You're right. Exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to not to spoil anything, but there is a moment in the first episode when your character first arrives by the plane, which I've heard that you had a real plane on site.
Yeah, we did.
That you picked apart, and so and then there's chaos. Shooting that scene in particular, could you talk a bit about how that was?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the most exciting scenes to shoot in the whole 10 episodes. And, Sam Hargraves has got a reputation for executing those like nobody else can. Probably him and David Leitch. So it was like, I was nervous. I was excited and nervous. It's just like, I didn't want to be the one that couldn't do it. I wasn't going to be the one that can't shoot, a 6-7 minute oneer. So, we rehearsed it very hard on, carpet in rehearsal rooms. And then we bring it on the day to the cold, to the minus 25, minus 30 with a burning plane, and 30, serious martial art, extras, fighters, criminals. And, we left it all on the floor, man. I got to say, I gave my all, and it was a great camera crew, and, it keeps coming. It overwhelms you, you're sucking in so much air with all the gear you got on to keep warm, with the hard dirt. I mean, when I got picked up and slammed on the ground, I got slammed. And
how many times did you have to do the scene?
We did it probably about 5 or 6 before we got it all right. You know what I mean? It was all day with the setup and different things and the chopper, but I mean, it was one of the best feelings I've ever had at the end. It really, I felt like I'd created this epic piece, of like, it felt exhausting, and I knew that Nate shot it and was there. I felt him as well as saw him at times, and it felt unrelenting. And I thought, this is when I thought that's when it occurred to me. I think we're going to make something quite special here, something that, as you said, starts off with this bang and this insane chopper out this beautiful landscape to land to absolute chaos. And once you feel that early on, like Tarantino in the back, and once you feel you've established that rule and the ability for that to happen, you feel it throughout the rest of the 10 episodes. At any point in time, all hell could break loose, and it does quite often. But then it also changes into something. I mean, episode 10, I don't know how you found, but it felt quite beautiful to me and quite serene, even though there's this epic story still unfolding in the snow and the mountains. There's something quite beautiful about those mountains and those dogs and, and the colors.
Yeah, we've been on quite a journey when we arrive at.
You have, haven't you? So, it's every hour feels like a great hour spent. That's rewarding and exciting, and and ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks a lot for taking your time to speak.
Oh my God, that was quick.
Yeah, I know.
I got a lot of Swedish friends over there. I love Alex Skarsgård and Faros Faros, two men that I've worked
Rebecca
with.
Ferguson.
Oh, yes, and Rebecca, I just finished working with. I keep forgetting that that's it with you Swedes, man. You blend in so easy.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for taking your time.
Thank you very much.
It was unlike anything in that it had, like you said, you think you're going to get Con Air. And then there's a much more, not that that's not complex, so you have this wonderful setup of these incredibly strange, ominous, dangerous people.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jonathan Blumberg, writing for Movies in Sweden.
Hey.
Hur mår du?
Hey. I'm doing great. So you can speak a little Swedish here, I hear.
A little.
Well,
That's it.
Yeah,
Those
I
are
bet it
the
doesn't
three
go
words
further
that I
than
know.
that.
Hörmördu. Min älskling. Ah,
Yeah.
Satan.
Where'd you learn that then?
It's is it Bill Skarsgård maybe who taught you?
Bill, yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, and I have other Swedish friends. I also have Swedish lineage.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because I know you work with Bill on the Devil all the time, where you
I
also
did.
work
I
with
saw a text
Jason.
message from Bill last night, which was really sweet.
Yeah. Well, I love this show. I watched all 10 episodes already, and I hope we get more seasons. I came thinking I would get something like Con Air maybe, but it really transforms during the season to something very different with a lot of twists and turns along the way. And your two characters are in for most of those twists and turns, I would say. So how was it kind of just reading the scripts for the first time, realizing that the story your characters would go on this season?
I was amazed when I first read the scripts and how kind of complex and complicated they are, and also, how relatable these characters are, and yet how entertaining the series is, and also, there's so much humanity in it, and what we think about the characters from the get-go, it really, like you said, the show really turns itself on its head. We really turn the genre on its head, which was exciting. There's such incredible, not only an opportunity to explore these multifaceted characters, but also the physical aspect of the show was really something that I was excited about reading the scripts.
Yeah, I was amazed when I read. Actually, it was the time when there wasn't a great deal going on. This script kept being mentioned. The title was mentioned several times, and I happened to be in LA at the time, and I was having a meeting at Apple, and I managed to get hold of the script, and I couldn't believe how well it made sense that everyone was talking about it, and I really wanted to know more of what was going on, and wanted to know more about certainly that Havelock character. So I demanded, I really begged to see. And I think at the time it was sort of, they knew or they had an idea of what they were, or how they wanted to cast it. But it was unlike anything in that it had, like you said, you think you're going to get Con Air, and then there's a much more, not that that's not complex, so you have this wonderful setup of these incredibly strange, ominous, dangerous people on a flight. You have one person that everyone talks about, the center of it, that you don't know much about. You have this wonderful everyman guy in Alaska who's trying to deal with the situation unfolding. And you have a very unusual CIA operative who's come in to help, who's most murky in all her observations and decision-making. So are you kind of like, what on earth is this? And then you have the music references in it as well, which are kind of also juxtaposed against what was happening.
Interesting identity, the music.
The whole piece, it's a really good word, has an identity, and then Alaska as the backdrop. And it's a very clever, and then you go, oh, I see, it's made by the people who make Blacklit. So they know what they're doing. They really know what they're doing. And it wasn't, we were just discussing how it's quite unlike any other pilot, because it's not trying to be something. It wasn't trying to sell itself as a pilot. It was already all made. It was made and changed very little from the moment we started, and that is so rare. That there were hardly any changes to the actual arc of the entire piece. Mm-hmm. So it was a really, you felt in very safe hands making this, and all we had to try and do was make believable characters. Whether we've done that or not, I don't know, but I hope we have.
I think everybody involved is utterly invested and committed to really grounding all of these outlandish things that are happening, and that's I think the best entertainment in terms of like commercial, elevated television is. Or even films like, Oppenheimer, for instance. You look at that trailer and you have like Matt Damon being like, this is the most, a dangerous thing in the world. And it's really all about, conviction. One of my favorite films is Night at the Condor, and that was something that, excuse me, I referenced. But you also have characters in this that are flawed and ultimately fighting for something and creating a resistance. These characters are, and Sydney is, in my opinion, even though, it doesn't seem like it, later on you realize that she's kind of this avenging angel and, desperately seeking her truth and justice, which is, an exciting transformation, I suppose, even though I knew all along what was happening. I think for the audience.
Yeah, but as a viewer, we go on a big journey for sure. Thanks a lot, both of you, for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you.
Best of luck with the premiere now.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you.
Bye.
I don't mind the comparison, but I am reminded of when The Blacklist came out, and almost every person I spoke to said, oh, this is Silence of the Lambs. This woman goes in and talks to this creepy guy, and he's a criminal. It's Silence of the Lambs. It's not Silence of the Lambs, just like this isn't Con Air. You get past the plane crash.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Blumberg, writing for movies in Sweden.
Hey, Jonathan, nice to meet you.
The pleasure is all mine. I've finished the entire first season and loving it.
Wow, thank you.
I'm a big thriller fan, so this was right up my alley.
Oh, great. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, and I obviously also watched your other shows prior to this. Yeah, the Blacklist. Loving James Spader and everything you did with him. Moving into this show where you kind of have where you're able to do a lot more because you don't have to be confined with broadcasting boundaries. What was like the main things that you felt like you had wanted to do prior, maybe, that you now were able to write for?
That's interesting. I found actually the constraint. I thought when I was writing The Blacklist that it was like a cable show, right? And we ended up on NBC. But I did find that the constraints of network TV, what we could do, some of the things we couldn't do, that box was sort of helpful. Sometimes compromise can be your best friend, and you don't need to show everything. Sometimes implying something is better. I think the difference with this show is that we had more time and more financial resources to go out and do things on a feature level. When you're bringing in somebody like Sam Hargrave, he's got a vision. He's shooting an anamorphic. We're out in beautiful Canada with these massive vistas. We had more resources and time to sort of tell the story in a little more of a cinematic way, perhaps. But I don't know that it changed the story itself. I don't think we did anything different or got more gory or strange without those parameters. Hopefully, it's sort of in that same world, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people, having watched at least the trailer, are thinking, "Oh, this is Con Air meets The Fugitive," and stuff like that. So I'm guessing. You knew that was comparisons people would make, and that there are definitely similarities. Is there anything else that you think people might have missed watching the trailer, and for you, what this really is?
Yeah, about? I love that you bring that up. Of course, there's elements of Con Air. It's a plane crash, plane crashes, so that's undeniable. That said, I don't mind the comparison, but I am reminded of when The Blacklist came out, and almost every person I spoke to said, oh, this is Silence of the Lambs. This woman goes in and talks to this creepy guy, and he's a criminal. It's Silence of the Lambs. It's not Silence of the Lambs, just like this isn't Con Air. You get past the plane crash, we go into a whole other world. So that's our entry point, and it's one that I welcome the comparison, but that's what I'm really excited to share the show. One of the reasons I'm so excited to share the show is for people to see what we really have in store, which is so much more than that comparison.
Yeah, and I know this is also the first time Jason Clarke steps in as a producer on at least on a TV show.
Yeah.
So how was it working with him in that capacity as well as the lead of the show?
Look, Jason's fantastic. He's done it far longer than I have. He has so much experience, right? And what you end up getting with him is just professionalism, right? There's no drama. You're coming in to do a job and you want to do it as good as you possibly can, but you're also keeping in mind that we're having fun. This is we should be enjoying this as we go along. And I think, you know, he also, I think we had a good time looking at the character, talking about the character, and then what adjustments do we need to make? You know, those words have to come out of his mouth, and they have to feel right to him. So you sort of get to put the character through the filter of this actor who is also an EP and has real weight behind him, you know. And so I welcome that. You know, that was a really good partnership.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And for me, as I said, I really love this first season. I do hope that we get multiple more seasons in the future. So keep the twists and turns coming.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Best of luck with the premiere.
Thank you so much. It's nice speaking with you.
Right back at you.
Cool.
Bye.
Take care.